So in a previous video, I tried to answer all your questions and explain all the really good comments about trying to grow an avocado plant from a seed. And one of the questions I got was the seed holders themselves, and I thought that deserved its own video, so that's what this is today. I got a ton of questions asking about the seed holders I use. Now, this is the version of seed holder that I use. People were asking, do I sell them? Where can I get them? Where can I buy them? The short answer is this is 3D printed. If you don't have a 3D printer or know somebody with a 3D printer, you can't get these. These aren't for sale anywhere that I've seen. They're not on Amazon. So unless you have a 3D printer, which I'm guessing you probably don't, because most people don't, you can't really get these. I don't sell them yet. That was the thing. I got so many comments and questions. Hey, do you sell these? I'd buy those. I started looking into it. Obviously, I can't sell 3D printed seed holders. These take about an hour to print, and that's not cost effective. So I looked into injection molding and doing that thing where you have 100 or 1,000 parts and you send it to the Amazon warehouse and they sell it from there and do all the shipping. It was kind of complicated. I might do it in the future, but as of this moment, no. If I ever do, I'll put a link down in the description and it'll take you to an Amazon page of where you can buy these if I ever make them, but I wouldn't hold your breath. You can buy seed holders on Amazon, and they look like this. And they're a floating boat. And the reason I like the ones that I 3D printed is they sit in a cup, and the cup doesn't take up a lot of space. The only downside is you kind of every once in a week you have to fill up a little water because water evaporates. It's not a big deal. These, the floating boat, first of all, they're $12, which I think is ridiculous. They don't work as well, I don't think, because this is a small size seed, an average seed, and you put that in there and it'll either sink like that or it'll barely float and eventually sink. I don't really like this idea of putting it in the boat because it takes up a lot of space. With the cup, that doesn't take up a lot of space. You could put that by your windowsill in your kitchen. With these, you need a big bowl because these are all floating versions that I 3D printed here. And they work. Some of these work better than others. This one can hold a bigger seed. That one floats just fine. But some of these, I remember I printed this one and I tried it out. And I came back and it was sitting at the bottom of the bowl. It had sunk, it had filled with water. But I really don't like the amount of area this takes up. If you're going to use the boat from the thing you buy on Amazon, you need a big bowl. And if you're going to try to grow 5, you need 5 bowls, and it's going to take up a whole counter. With something like this, I can do 4 cups in the same area as 1 bowl as I spill it all over the floor. The only advantage I've found to the boat and the floating method is you don't have to add water. So as the water evaporates, the boat will sink with it. That's really the only advantage. But I like the saving space, and I like to, if you put them in your kitchen, you kind of look in there, you just add a little water. It takes half a second. So that's not a big deal. I like this small size a lot better. And you can even print these seed holders smaller. It fits in a little cup like that, and that takes up even less space. So let me go through all the different seed holder methods you might have heard of or used. So the one that everybody's heard of is 3 toothpicks. You take the seed, you stick in 3 toothpicks and set it on a cup, and you want that water level halfway. So you want the seed partially submerged in water. 3 toothpicks, I've done it once. One of the toothpicks fell out and it sank. It didn't really work. A lot of people don't like that method. Another method that I like, I haven't tried it, I just saw it the other day, was you take a plastic water bottle, you cut the top off, invert it, and that becomes your seed holder. You fill it up to that. That would work, but one thing I saw that I didn't like was once the roots come out, so you might get some big roots like that, you have to pull that out. Once it grows, you have to pull that out of the narrow top of the bottle, and you'll probably break some of these roots off. So with these, you have a lot more room to get that root in and out. Whereas that bottle, you might have to cut that lid somehow, or you're not going to be able to get that root out easily. But that might be a good way to get it started. Another version I heard somebody use is they just put the seed in a wet paper towel, put that in a Ziploc bag, and put it by the window. That's what I've used for a lot of seeds in the gardens, like pumpkins and beans and things like that. It keeps them wet and moist and hot. And I've talked about all the tips and tricks to growing these seeds, but for just a method of getting the roots going and the holders, a Ziploc bag might work to get it started, and then you could put it in dirt. So again, these are the ones that I've used in the past. I just recently designed my own, which are very similar, but they're rounded on the side. They do float, but I'm not going to use them as floating. I'm going to use them as in the cup. They work great in you can print them all different sizes, as you can see, from big to large. That's a great thing about 3D printer. You can just scale them up, scale them down. If I sold these, I might sell them in different sizes like that. But it fits great in a normal Dixie cup, and you can just fill it up with water and set the seed right on that, and it holds it great. So this is my own method. This is a version that I just downloaded and didn't change. This is a version I drew. Here's these floating versions. Some of these, I like this one actually better than the boat. The boat kind of sinks and tips and it isn't balanced. I like this one that looks like a flying saucer. It seems to hold more weight and it doesn't sink as well. This one here with the open top and weird bottom, I don't like as much. I hope that answers some of your questions on where to get the seed holders. But if you ever find somebody with a 3D printer, say, hey, can you print me off a couple of these seed holders? I'll give you 10 bucks. I think it's definitely worth it. So again, for me, I am totally okay with coming down every day. It's a little low in water, fill it up, you know. If it's in the basement, I've been growing these in the basement, you just take a cup, that needs a little, that needs a little, that needs a little. It takes no time at all, and especially if this is in your kitchen, you can just fill it up with the faucet, real quick and easy. So I prefer space saving over the big bowl and the floating method. So you can see this takes up way more room than the small cup. And if you really want to, you can use the small ring and you can do it in a really small cup. But everyone that was asking me about where I can get this exact seed holder, you don't need this exact one. You can make your own. You can make it out of anything. If you see something that's about the size of a Dixie cup, you can find a piece of plastic and wedge it in there. I really don't like the 3 toothpick method, so if you can find something that you can wedge in there, something round, something that'll fit. These are tapered on the side, which is nice and a good feature. And the ones that I drew, I made them rounded, so they're also tapered and they kind of wedge in there. You can see it's not falling out and I'm not holding it. You can wedge it in there and it won't move and it'll hold the seed, and you don't have to worry about it sinking or falling in the water, and that'll grow because it's going to be sitting there for several months. So I like that method. Again, if you ever want to get some ideas, just type in 3D print avocado seed holder and you can go on web pages and you can see 3D models that people have drawn. All of these are 3D models that somebody's drawn. This is a floating one, and you can read comments that people have left saying, oh, this one worked great, oh, this one sank, oh, this one I like this, but I changed something. So even if you're not going to 3D print those, you can say, oh, that's a good idea. But this boat thing, I think, is a complete waste. It barely floats on its own. When you put the seed in there, it's listing back, and one little bump, and it fills up with water, and you come back, and it's sinking and sinking and sinking, and it's down at the bottom of the bowl. So I wouldn't waste your $12 on buying one of these floating boats. I would keep your eyes open for something that you see around the house, some sort of plastic, something that will wedge into a cup and you can set the seed in it. So I hope this kind of answers some of your questions about the seed holders. I hope you get some ideas like that. Bottle idea I think is really great. Anything that will hold it in a cup and keep it partially submerged. You can make it out of plastic, an old juice bottle or something. I'm sure you can come up with something. Just take some plastic and some scissors. You can make it work. It's probably better than the 3 toothpick method. So I hope this helps, and if you have a good idea, leave it in the comments, and maybe somebody else will get a good idea from what you learned. So let me know what you think. Thanks. Well, I hope you liked the video you just watched. If you did, feel free to subscribe by clicking the button on this side. You can also check out all the videos I've done, the playlist from things I've built, things I've fixed, home repair, 3D printing, and on this side you can check out a recommended video similar to the one you just watched. And as always, down in the description I'll put a link to my blog, which has more pictures and more information about the video you just watched. Thanks.